So good morning, everyone. My name is Neka Otobolu, and I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives and Equity Advancement at the Edmonton Community Foundation and co-chair of the 2023 Vital Signs on Food Security. On behalf of our CEO, Tina Thomas, who unfortunately is unable to be here in person today, I'd like to welcome you all to the launch of our 2023 Vital Signs Report. I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered in Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting ground, gathering place and traveling route of the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. Together, we acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. A special welcome to the dignitaries and honored guests here today. I'd like to especially thank Joanne Wright, Metapi Ward Councillor, Michael Jans, Papa Stew Ward Councillor, Lon Dark, MLA for Edmonton McClung, Janice Irwin, MLA for Edmonton Highlands Norwood. I'd like to thank you all for making the time to be with us today, as well as those here on behalf of MPs, councillors, and MLAs who were not able to attend today. For the past 10 years, ECF has been producing the Vital Signs Report in partnership with the Edmonton Social Planning Council as a way for Edmontonians to learn about their community. And this year, we look at the food security in Edmonton. Vital Signs is a part of a national initiative led by the Communities Foundation of Canada, where Communities Foundation provide annual snapshot of a variety of indicators in their communities. More than 65 community foundations in Canada and 41 around the world participate in Vital Signs in some way. Vital Signs uses current statistics and studies curated into an annual overview of the trends and issues affecting the quality of life in a city, province, and country. The aim is to inspire civic engagement, to encourage thoughtful dialogue, and to help direct resources where they would have the greatest impact. Within the pages of this report that we are launching today lies a startling revelation of the harsh realities that individuals and some families face in our communities. For example, the budget for a family of 4 living in low income, healthy food accounts for 41% of their budget, and rent accounts for 54%, leaving very little, a mere 5% for all other expenses. We hope you will take time to read it and learn something new about your community. Share it with others, engage in thoughtful conversation, and let it inspire you to act. I would like to now welcome Susan Morrissey, Executive Director of Edmonton Social Planning Council, to talk a bit more about this year's report and a bit about the committee that dedicated many, many hours to make the information captured, to make sure that the information captured was as representative as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Neka. Someone was smart enough to make sure I had a bottle of water today, and now I'm kind of walking around with my bottle of water feeling all This is not the first time I've introduced Vital Signs or been involved in Vital Signs. I actually go back to 10 years ago when we first started Vital Signs. And it was extremely poignant for me to want to suggest to the committee that we do something on the 10-year anniversary, and we wanted to look at how or if we have shifted the needle when it comes to food security. You all have either seen the report or have access to the report, and as Neka has already said, there are some very, very blunt things in there, indicating that in many ways we have not In some ways we have, but in many ways we've not. So I consider it my privilege to be able to come back and speak again and talk some more about our Vital Signs report and the terrific opportunity to work both with the Community Foundation, but also with the advisory committee members in the community who guide us along our way. So as Nneka mentioned, the focus of this year's report was food security, and we wanted to look at past, present, and future. And what you're seeing is the Vital Signs full report, or abridged report. It's also gone out through the journal today as well. But what we also did was we put out vital topic reports throughout the course of the year that deal more specifically with past, present, and future. So if you're interested, you can go to ECF's website or our website and have a look at those as well. The Vital Signs report on food security in Edmonton highlights concerning trends. Food security is on the rise in Alberta, with 20.3% of Albertans experiencing food insecurity in 2022. That's before everything we've seen in the last 6-8 months with regards to the cost of food and cost of living going up. And that is up from 12.3% in 2021. So it's doubled over that time. The number of individuals served each month at Edmonton's food bank has increased drastically in the last decade. From 12.677 individuals served each month in 2023, I'm going to give you two stats here. In 2022, the food bank reported over 30,000 people being served each month, and that was in 2022. And I know, and I'm looking right at Marjorie right now, and I know that number is over 35,000 individuals being served monthly at the food bank. Additionally, the report states that 21.7% of people under the age of 18, so we're talking children, live in food insecure households in Alberta. These findings suggest that food insecurity is a growing concern in Edmonton and Alberta as a whole. We do rely heavily on our advisory committee to help provide context, fill in the gaps, and guide the information in the report so that we can paint an accurate picture, as accurate a picture as we can of the information available. My organization, Research and Analysis, Community Foundation, they work in the area of grants, trying to get money out into the community. So we're not experts when it comes to food security itself necessarily. So that's why we call on experts in the community to help us with that. And I know that their names are all listed in the report as well, but I will just introduce everyone to you. So myself, Susan Morrissey, and Nneka Watabula, we were the co-chairs for this year's report again. Sydney Sheloff, she is with the Edmonton Social Planning Council, our research coordinator. Brett Lambert, Social Planning Council, unable to join us today. He's on vacation. Alejandra Hasbun was a summer student that we had. Cassandra Sperling was a summer student that Social Planning Council had. Shireen Zink, formerly with the Community Foundation, gone on to somewhere else, but joined us today. Thank you very much for coming back and joining us. And Andrea Diamond with the Edmonton Community Foundation. Lisa, you're not on this list somewhere. You prepared the technical document and you forgot to put your name on the list. There you are. Good catch. Our advisory committee, so that's the staff teams from the two organizations that have worked on this all year long. And I really want to stress that this is not a report that we put together in a course of a couple of months in that. This is something that we work on. We start working on right in January. In fact, we were talking about next year's, what we're going to do, and it carries through all the way through the course of the year. So there's a lot of man hours from staff on both organizations that go into it. However, as I said, our advisory committee also commits on a volunteer basis to advise us and to provide us with information. And a lot of times, the little bits and missing links that we don't have to be able to properly represent what's going on in our community. So Marjorie Benz from the food bank, Mark Dorham from the food bank, Nicole Spring from Leftover Foundations, Erin O'Neill, Campus Food Bank, Leo Boyd, Veterans Association Food Bank, which, by the way, that was a new one for me this year. I wasn't even aware that they had their own food. I knew that the universities and colleges had food banks, which is disturbing enough when you're trying to go to school. And then was introduced to Leo this year from the Veterans Food Bank. Yetali Tekel from Edmonton Community Foundation, Bob Cotton from the Veterans Association Food Bank, Sharon Armstrong, Sustainable Edmonton, Food Edmonton, Julia Tran, who is with Edmonton Food Council, but also the Multicultural Health Brokers Co-op, Emmanuel Onan from the Africa Center, Kyle Pascal from Hungry Zin, Catherine Gwynn Yee from Hungry Zin, Alexa Fernandez from Community University Partnership, Sarah Patterson from the City of Edmonton, David Proden from E4C, Renee Vanois from John Humphreys, Elizabeth Otiago from the School of Public Health from the University of Alberta. Thank you to all the Vital Signs Committee members for your time, your insight, and your contributions to making this year's report happen. To help us understand more about this report, and perhaps more importantly, to understand some of the context behind the numbers, please welcome our Vital Signs Committee member and Executive Director from the Edmonton Food Bank, Marjorie Benz.
Don't take my copy of my report, though.
I'm promoting that.
I'm going to share it too. So thank you very much for having me part of the Vital Signs Committee. And as speaking today, it's a real privilege to join you. Like Susan, I did a little bit of a journey back 10 years and looked at the 2013 Vital Signs Report. Its focus was about food. It asked why food. The 2013 Vital Signs Report spoke about how food is a major intersection where challenges and, more importantly, opportunities meet. A sense of community, poverty, health, and the environment all intersect with food. The 2013 Vital Signs Report included a food map showing bread runs, community gardens, and others working in the food security space like Edmonton's Food Bank and We Can Food Buying Co-op. It also included community gardens and farms. In 2013, I marveled at the creative, grassroots, and unique responses that were being done to increase food access and sustainability, as well as services to people experiencing food insecurity. I want to share a little bit about the work of Edmonton's Food Bank and our network of over 300 partner agencies providing services throughout Edmonton. We have 3 warehouses on 120th Street, and you're more than welcome just to arrange for a tour and find out a little bit more about what we do in these facilities. Our numbers are staggering, 120,000 volunteer hours. We have 67 depots across Edmonton where people access hampers. Our trucks traveled 228,000 kilometers in 2022, collecting and distributing food. We collect and redistribute about $40 million worth of donated food each year. We distribute 138,000 dozen eggs and 40,000 liters of milk, and I could go on. We, like many working in response to growing demand,
do not get any ongoing funding for operations or food purchase from any level of government. Our support comes from our community in the form of food, funds, and friends. We collect donations dollar by dollar and can by can. Our organization was incorporated as the Edmonton Gleaners Association in 1981. To glean means to gather by patient harvest. Food recovery or gleaning is where we get a lot of our food. It makes up almost 60% of the food that's donated to the food bank. There's little or no control on this primary source of food for Edmonton's food bank. Food is gleaned from farmers, suppliers, food warehouses, grocery stores, and local gardeners. Our second helping program recovers prepared food from large events. We must also recognize that the most recovered food is perishable, and we don't have a say in the quality, quantity, or nature of the items gleaned. Gleaned food is just that, food that is in surplus, and we do appreciate the support from these donors. Our other food sources include food gathered at special events or food drives, usually non-perishable items. Over $3 million worth of food is purchased by the organization, and it makes up only about 6% of what we distribute as an organization. Purchased food is the only area of food sourcing the food bank can make deliberate choices about the types of food that's distributed by the organization. While thousands of individuals and families do access food directly from Edmonton's food bank, we are primarily a central warehouse providing food to over 300 agencies, food depots, schools, and community groups. Some of these groups include IFSA, Salvation Army, Hope Mission, and Operation Friendship. The following are just some of the programs that we do in partnership or collaboration with other community groups. A family or individual can call our call center and ask for assistance in the form of a hamper. Our call center usually handles up to 800 calls plus 800 emails per day. Callers must live in Edmonton. As part of the call center's process, they are able to arrange for a hamper at one of our 67 affiliated food depots, which are located throughout the city. This distribution network of depots is critical to the people we serve. Edmonton has a large geographic footprint, and food distribution requires logistics, including food safety and temperature control. Organizations like the Family Centre, Bent Arrow, Canadian Mental Health, and City of Edmonton social workers have the ability to order hampers directly from the food bank, as they work closely with specific people and offer wraparound services to help those in need. We are doing hundreds of boxes of food each day and have some options like celiac, diabetic, halal, and vegetarian. Despite our best intentions, a hamper is not the same as someone going to the grocery store and making their own decisions. We do emergency packs, which are prepared for specific service providers. For example, EPS has these on hand for their staff to give out to individuals in vulnerable situations. Another example is Strathcona Seniors. We have a delivery service that delivers hampers to people who are low income and have severe barriers to picking up hampers. These hampers are arranged through our call center. Due to delivery costs associated with this program, we have limited capacity in this area. We also have a mobile hamper program, which delivers hampers to specific areas of the city which are underserved. This program grew out of the pandemic. For example, we have a delivery into Chappelle, which is in the deep south end of the city, where we don't have a partner. And we provide food to meal and snack programs who access fresh food or frozen or non-perishable food from Edmonton's food bank. This program is accessed by schools, soup kitchens, and shelters. Examples include Hope Mission, Operation Friendship, Bissell Center, Mustard Seed, and over 100 schools. For example, Hope Mission picks up food from our warehouse 3 times a day. As you can see by these examples, a lot of people are doing a lot of work. Beyond Food Program is a collaborative providing wraparound support and services to people experiencing poverty, unemployment, and food security. We help people become more self-sufficient and improve their employability. Services include upgrading computer literacy, first aid and other safety tickets, resume preparation, and more. We've been very engaged in helping Ukrainian newcomers as well. We also are involved in community kitchen programs, urban gardens, and other food security programs. In August of 2023, we served 37,400 people through our programs, a historical high. In summary, we were going at full capacity at all times. 2 weeks ago, Food Banks Canada issued its hunger count report. Almost 2 million Canadians received help from a food bank in March. Very sad news for all of us. Food banks cannot be expected to rescue people from a failing social safety net. On one hand, we simply do not have the mandate or resources to do so. I just want to speak about some people that use the food bank from time to time, because often we talk about stats, and all of this work is about real people. Elena is a mother of 2 who arrived from the Ukraine 10 months ago. Her husband remains in the Ukraine. People have been very kind to her, and she appreciates their help. She works full-time and earns a living wage. She pays full market rent on a townhouse. Susan is friendly and talkative. She has had a traumatic life made more complex because of abusive relationships, as well as drug and alcohol use. She is currently experiencing houselessness. Sandra is a proud, independent senior who likes to donate to charities like the food bank whenever she can. While she worked prior to retirement, the companies she worked for don't have pension plans. She has a small car that she uses to go to appointments. She has arthritis and experiences lots of pain. Peter and his wife have gone through some difficult times. They have separated, and he has custody of their 3 children. 2 are school and 1 is preschool. He is challenged with paying credit card bills and child support. Without extended family, he misses time from work when children are ill. Recently, one of our staff had the idea that we could take the households in Edmonton that were using the services of the food bank and plot it out onto a map. And of course, often we think of food bank use as, an intercity issue or situation in the North End. And when, after we plotted it out, it's obvious that the whole city is red. This year, we also had the privilege of working with Edmonton Social Planning Council, and we couldn't have done this work without you. Thank you, Susan, and your team. And last week, we released our most recent client survey. We talked to 500 food bank hamper recipients about their situation, a little bit about who they are, as well as what barriers and what they were experiencing in the community. And we do have copies of this. It's available on our website. Social Planning Council can get them to you as well. So again, it's putting their stories forward to the broader community to engage around policy and looking at that. So just some sharing from the report. Some educational levels do help increase opportunities for people, but you may be surprised that over 70% of food hamper recipients have completed high school or equivalent, and over half of this number have a degree or post-secondary diploma. Our clients who are working tend not to have benefits. For example, only 35% have health benefits, and only 15% have paid sick days. Common barriers to employment are health conditions or disability, lack of relevant employment skills, and personal family responsibilities. When asked what they do when running low on food, of course they turn to the food bank, but other coping responses include borrowing money, using credit cards, selling possessions, and using credit and payday loans. Of course, that creates a further complication the following month. Mental health and health challenges have made it hard for people to work and participate fully in our communities. And as well, over a third of the respondents do not have a family doctor. Over time, I've come to appreciate working in the food security space, that while the situation is complex, there continues to be a lot of community initiatives that continue to provide opportunities for our community members. The Vital Signs Report does contain hope. Local growing, farmers markets, water as a resource, immigration food businesses, school nutrition programs, and other opportunities for us to create more food security and a better community. Food security is complex. Like its closest cousin, income security, it requires thoughtful conversations and an in-depth understanding and the opportunity to look at diverse opinions. We also must need to continue our conversations with all levels of government. It was interesting how quickly CERB was introduced during the pandemic, creating a buffer for all. Why can't we ensure such measures are in place outside of a crisis? Governments and society have to seriously address the problems that force people into poverty. Inadequate income security programs, lack of disability supports, family breakdown and domestic violence, chronic unemployment, lack of subsidized childcare and rent, unreasonable and unsafe housing, addictions, and much, much more. Edmonton's Food Bank challenges the notion that food on its own will reduce poverty and solve food insecurity. There is a moral dimension to hunger, and we must all be committed to enhancing the health and well-being of others. After all, Food Bank is not a realistic substitution for policies that help people enter the workforce, access adequate income support, or create affordable housing that enables people to live with dignity. While the 2023 Vital Signs Report paints a realistic and bleak picture of food security and community, I believe that also creates an opportunity for conversations and action. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Marjorie, for coming up and speaking today, and for your commitment and your organization's commitment to addressing food insecurity in Edmonton for many, many, many years. It's now my honor to introduce two of our advisory committee members who are going to come up, and they are going to speak a little bit about some calls to action. So I'm going to invite Julia Tran and Yvonne Chu to come and speak.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all this morning and following Marjorie. Actually, the food bank also support us. Maybe just to give you a little bit of a context to our call for action is a little bit about our organization. I see many colleagues who work along our side linking arms in the audience today. The Multicultural Health Brokers Cooperative is an organization created by workers who are from the ethnocultural communities. Actually, 14 women began this work 32 years ago, and we're turning 25 this year as a workers' co-op. It honestly breaks our heart to know that our communities are doing poorer over the decades. And if you can just imagine, our ethnocultural communities are known for our aspiration, our capacity to strive through the greatest hardship. But it's very sad to say that just on Monday, we brought a group of 10 of our colleagues together, and we had a circle of sharing. That's because we decided to do a rapid research next month to hear from 100 families about their experience with food insecurity. And around the room, we have colleagues who work with Ukrainian evacuees, families from Syria, Kurdistan, from Iraq, from Central South America, from the Philippines, from Vietnam. They're all talking about how deep food insecurity is. It also hurts to hear that families are considering sending the children and wife home so fathers could continue to work here to make life affordable. And so all of these stories from the field is asking us more than a call to action, but urgent action. What we're wondering is, can we fully hear more from those who are experiencing food insecurity? These are individuals and families with ideas that could truly drive us forward, right? When we did a round of conversation a couple of years back, I was trying to see if Catherine is around. It was called the Persimmons Project. And when we spoke to families who were experiencing food insecurity, one of the things that they really aspire to is growing on a very broad spectrum. Not only growing during the growing season, but to grow during the non-growing season at home. Many of our community members were farmers back home. They really look forward to gainful employment in the field of farming. What about in the wintertime? Can we have communal greenhouses so that we can continue to grow for ourselves, right? There are ideas that will come from the very people who are struggling right now. So how much are we doing to really hear from them and be inspired by them? So I really wish for us to always think about those who have a bit of influence and capacity. Please come wrap around those of us who are in the field along with the people. We need micro-level solution. Can we have colleagues who are good financial problem solver to wrap around us and the families to figure out family by family, how can we not let them drop deeper into poverty? At a meso level, can we not come together and figure out much better growing opportunities, including growing during the winter time, because that gives people a sense of dignity and joy, and growing helps us be well mentally and spiritually, hey? At a macro level, isn't it time, I know I'll be kicked after I say this, to look at rent control? Is it time to work with SOBI and others to kick them up into an ethical way, not to increase further the cost of grocery, right? This is a moment we really need to link arms, be courageous, and not be afraid to speak the truth. We have always tried to look at our food security program in the 4 dimension. We feed, Marjorie's team help us feed families every week, Thursday. This is why our colleague Celia is not here, because she's implementing the grocery run program. But feeding needs to be strengthened right now as an urgent need. We would love to grow, as we mentioned. Please join us in reimagining, particularly with city support. How could we heighten the possibility to grow locally, hey? And then we would love to innovate. And we've tried a few innovation. We must say we're not always successful. And I'm going to invite Julia to talk about one attempt that we made 2 years ago or year and a half ago, and actually might invite you to join us to hear the lessons learned from that and advocate. And we're all here to advocate and speak loudly and clearly and strongly, not only the suffering, but the strength of the people that we serve, right? So in a summary, those are some of the key call for action that I know we all can do and pursue, right? So I'm going to invite Julia to tell you about one of the innovation, and we brought along propaganda material as well.
Thank you so much, Yvonne, and thank you everyone for having us here today. I'm also thinking about how it's a Thursday today. I think since 2016, we have had a program called the Grocery Run operating as an emergency food response program, and it really makes me think about how even 2023, so many years later, we still have longstanding volunteers supporting this program, and we also have new faces too. And what an incredible mix of people it is made up of by. What an incredible program that is supported by community partners like Edmonton's Food Bank. Vimal is sitting here. We trade bread, we trade chickpea cans, we trade all sorts of things, but it's really about how we support each other and fill in the space and the gaps, and what an incredible community we have built. But it needs to continue, and we need to strengthen that because we're starting to dwindle. And so we're very pleased and very honored today to be able to present the calls to action today prepared by Vital Signs. And so with today, our different groups of people that make up the room today, for donors, funders, and policymakers, please consider investing in resilient food infrastructure, for example, food hubs, co-ops, community gardens, which gives communities more sovereignty over food growth and access, particularly for Black and Indigenous communities. Ensure ongoing and sufficient income support that could reduce or eliminate food insecurity. For manufacturers, distributors, retailers, and restaurants, implement practices to reduce or eliminate food waste. For individuals, know that it is not the responsibility of a single person to fix a systemic issue. When donating to charities or nonprofits working on food security, consider donating dollars instead of food. This helps organizations ensure that they can provide the right foods for their clients. If you need food, there is no shame in asking for it. And so Yvonne talked about MCHP's relational approach and connection to the community. Our deep connections to the community help us to understand how do these really large and broad issues of food insecurity impact individual people, and what is our role as fellow community members with a shared humanity? What is our role in supporting? Care for All was a social enterprise that focused on culturally preferred foods for ethnocultural community members experiencing chronic poverty. It was our attempt to co-create a food security strategy that brought in our different community members, brothers and sisters, to anchor our own aspirations and strategies within the knowledge and the wisdom and the dreams of our own people. Unfortunately, it wasn't successful, but that doesn't mean that it was a failure. We really hope that on November 21st from 2 to 4, a in-person as well as virtual option, or November 22nd, 5:30 to 7:30, you will continue to join us and have these conversations about what else is possible. How do we bring together the right people to continue to refine, reiterate? Good and great things come through iteration, and may we try and try again. Please consider taking a look at the reports that many of us have prepared today. This knowledge needs to be used and needs to be applied, and we hope that it can anchor a hope for a better future. Thank you, everyone.
So we'll just put them over at the table for you.
Thank you so much, Julia and Yvonne. It's important that we all have access to the information in this year's Vital Signs Report, but it also takes action to make the change. These actions are critical first steps towards improving quality of life in Edmonton for all who reside here. Thank you all for attending, and thank you to Marjorie, to Julia and Yvonne for sharing your insights and perspectives with us today. Please don't forget to pick up your copy of Vital Signs. We have some hard copies behind there on the tables. And for the digital version, you could find that at ecfoundation.org and Edmonton Social Planning.ca. An abridged version of the report will also be available in the Edmonton Journal today, so be sure to watch out for that as well. Members of our committee will be available immediately following the presentations, like right now, for questions any member of the community or media may have. And that's it for our lunch today, and thank you all for coming and making out the time. Thank you.